In today's video, we are going to talk about white paint. We got a question on the channel. Somebody that was saying like white is super hard, or how do you paint white? I can't get it. So the perfect question. So we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to look at like the different options of like white that you can buy. And then second, I'm going to give you a couple of like techniques or pointers as to painting white easily. Right. So the first thing that we want to talk about is picking the right paint, because they're not all created equal like many others, but white is a hard color to begin with. There's no that's not that part is true. I guess before we go any further, I think the simplest explanation as to why painting white is a little bit harder than maybe other colors is simply because it does not work the same way. White, when you think about it, you can never highlight, because the white is kind of the ultimate highlighted color. So you cannot, if you base coat something in white, you cannot highlight it even more. That just doesn't work. So you have to tackle it differently, and so the ratio changes of like how much highlight and shading, and so it's not exactly like the same color. To some extent, painting red and painting yellow and painting green and painting blue are all very much the same thing, except one is red, one is yellow, one is green, one is. But white and black are kind of different in that matter, where they're both ends of the spectrum, if you will, and so you have to tackle them a little bit different. But then the second thing, besides knowing this, and we'll cover a couple of techniques or tricks that you can use later, but I think besides that, the second most important thing is choosing the right paints, because as with all colors, they're not all created equal. And white is not like a great pigment to begin with, so good white paint is kind of hard to come by, and there's a lot of stinkers out there. So rule number one is don't use stinkers. So hey, big brain play here, but it sounds stupid, but if you're a one brand type of painter, right, like you like I don't know, AK or something, and you buy all the AKs, well, you're gonna run across this where some are stinkers sometimes. So I got a couple here, and even the ones I got are not all great, right? So let's talk about let's talk about Games Workshop here, and Games Workshop probably the most popular one, and they are stinkers. They have two. The one I have here is Corax White, and the other one I think is called White Scar. So Corax White is the one that's in most starter set, and it is a little bit off-white. Like it's white, but it's not exactly like straight up white. Like all these like bridesmaid dresses, or the wedding dresses are like off-white and eggshell and whatnot. That's like off-white, right? Different, like almost white, but not really white, but sort of white. So Corax White is one of those where it's almost white, but because it's a base, it's got like a little tone of it, and you can see the medium in it as like blue in it, like you get the separation. But the both white, like the White Scar, is just, these paints are chunky, they are terrible. This one I have, I don't know even why, but if you put like some Windex in, like a glass cleaner, it becomes usable. Like you open up the pot, you fill it with glass cleaner, you shake it like for like 2 or 3 business days, and then it gets usable. Like so it's not good by any means. Like you should not, oh well, I buy this one and then I go through all these steps to make it work. Don't do that. It's not worth it. I don't know why I have this one, but I do have it. What they do good though, the white dry brush, which I think is called Praxetti, is actually nice if you intend to dry brush white. For example, if you're like a big fan of the slap chop technique, Praxetti white, I have nothing to say against it. I've used it a bunch of times, and it does exactly as expected. I guess the funny thing is that this paint, when it's all chunky and stuff, probably really good at dry brushing. I never tried it though. So Games Workshop, not great for white. And then, I don't have it here on hand, but for the longest time, Vallejo's Titanium White was like the top of the line. The best in the business was Titanium White. And again, Vallejo, the problem is rarely the paints. They smell terrible, and everybody loves that. A bunch of times is getting the paint in your hands if you're in America. I don't know what's up with America and Vallejo. They never seem to make it make sense. But Titanium White is probably the best one, and then there's, I think, Dead White and Arctic white, which are like the two other great Vallejo colors for white. Like all the Vallejos for white are pretty great. The one I've been using the most are these two Army Painter, and I say these two, but it really is this one here and the previous version. This one I bought, but I do not like. All the new, like since they changed to Warpaint's Fanatic, I've had the hardest time with the Army Painter, so I got this one because I like the previous version and the airbrush ready version so much. This one I'm still struggling with. This one I've used this, the Air White from Army Painter. I use this, and I use it with like a brush as well. I think it's a great white paint. The drawback, I guess, is it is very liquid, so right, because it's like airbrush ready, so it's super thin already. So if you're not familiar with like working with very thin paint, it can be a problem. But it is I've used the Army Painter for probably the last like 8 years, almost exclusively. I like the previous one. This one kind of forced me to look at other whites because I really have like, I don't know what they did when they maybe I just got like a really bad batch, because I think I upgraded most of my Army Painter to the Fanatics at the same time. Maybe I just got like a bad batch, and that's why I hate them. I don't, that's possible. But my new thing, my new favorite one, and you can see all these pots are used. Okay, this is not a video of like I'm talking about stuff I never used. All of these, all open, all used, and this is my new one. And I'm making this video again, probably 3 or 4 months after I got this. So that, I've gotten some good use out of this. But this is the Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White, and this thing is I'm still struggling to use it, probably because it is super liquid, but it is super opaque. So the real challenge is kind of finding the good consistency and the good like transparency, because a lot of time when you use white, you want it to be transparent. Like you're rarely looking for like a very smooth white. But this one, honestly, it is becoming my favorite really quickly, because it, again, probably not great at dry brushing. I've not really tried it. It's not something that I do a whole lot of. I don't do a lot of the slap chop anymore. Well, not anymore, but it's been a while since I slapped and chopped. But so yeah, this one is super potent, and it's really tricky. It's super liquid, but it's also very strong. So I'm still struggling to get like the proper thinning down and transparency that I like. But this is potent stuff. I'm really happy to have found this. They run a little bit expensive, but I think they're bigger. Oh, this is 22. This is 12. Okay, yeah. So they're a little bit expensive, but there's a lot more paint in them. So probably not the end of the world. And these look like I call them tattoo pots, like tattoo paint pots, are probably my second favorite. I've said this before. I'm one of the 6 people worldwide that don't like dropper bottles. I prefer like pots, not bottles. Like, right, like this format is, I'm the only one that like the Games Workshop pots. It's okay. But this is a very close second favorite right now. I like this because it's kind of got a little bit of both, where they're pretty easy to open. That's my main issue with the dropper ones. The dropper ones are hard to fidget with, but this is pretty easy to just open up and play with. So yeah, Pro Acryl, this I think if you're looking for white, get this one. And then I've talked about AK. I've tried a couple of colors. I'm not a big fan of them, but I think I just haven't got the right color. When my buddy told me like I should get like one of the gray colors, and the store did not have the gray color when I wanted to try, so never got to test the gray one. But the other few colors I tried, I just could not get really anything of value. They have the dropper balls, and I didn't get like any big difference in quality. So now let's talk about painting white and making that suck a little bit less, right? Because that's really the challenge, right? Is either make it beautiful or make it not stupidly hard to do. So the first thing about white is that really nothing really is ever white. And it sounds kind of wacky, but if you look around you, like in real life, and you look at like a white wall or something, you notice that unless it's like directly under, like unless something is white and directly under direct like spotlight, it's always like off-white. So that's why like I use a wall for an example, but even a car is like lots of parts in the car have like some shading to it, and really nothing is like really truly white except the very, again, super highlighted spots. Most of the stuff, it looks white, but there's a lot of shading going on. And that's why when we try to paint white on minis, often it looks odd, is because real life stuff rarely is actually straight up white. That's where off-whites come into play. And off-whites are all the colors that are almost white. And for all the shit I've given Games Workshop on their white colors, their off-whites are all actually pretty good. Now, there's a couple. The main one I use is Ultron Gray. I think this color is really, really hard to fuck with. Honestly, this is super light gray. It's almost white. And if you paint anything in this color, like a flat base coat, it's going to look white. Even though it's gray, if you get like a flat base coat of the Ultron Gray, it's going to look white. And then they also have a Pallid Witch Flesh, which there it is. Pallid Witch Flesh? Anyway, Pallid, this one is like a little bit of a skin tone, so it's got a little bit of the like reddish into it, a little bit. And this one's also great, covers like crazy, so I like that one. And then the third one that I do not have is Wraith Bone, which is like a bone color, but really, really bordering on white. And these three colors are pretty great because they are, for all intents and purposes, white. They're all off-white, but they're the white that you can use. And all three of these, if you mix into paints, you get much more natural highlighting colors than if you use straight white. So if you're painting, a bright, obnoxiously bright stuff like lights and, glowy effects and stuff, you use straight up white. But if you paint something that's like white, in general, like a cloak or something, then you want to go with off-white. And then your off-white can be kind of your medium tone, and then you darken it up with one step, and you highlight it with straight white. So you have very little straight white, even in something that should be white, because you need that like highlight, base color, shading kind of effect, or like that trio of colors. You still want that, even though white you can't really highlight. But you do need that transition. If you paint everything white, it's going to be way too bold. And if you don't use any of the white, well, it's going to look gray, no matter what you do. And so painting white really is painting off-white for the most part, and finding the off-whites that don't suck is kind of a big deal. So these ones I really like, and my favorite like kind of color combo, if you can just learn maybe one, is this set of three here. The reason I like it is because Celestra Gray covers like nobody's business. Sorry, this is Celestra Gray, this is Ultron Gray, which I just talked about, and this is my Pro Acryl thingamabob here. So these two, they cover really, really well. So I like priming in black and dark brown a lot of my stuff. Having something that covers it in one pass is great. Both of these colors do. Celestra Gray, one pass all the time. Ultron Gray, one pass most times, sometimes two. And then I can shade this and I can highlight this with white, and I get like a very base gray. Now you can go a lot darker if you have like heavily textured stuff. Like if you would do like wolves, for example, space wolves are really in right now. And you want to go darker, you can go darker. You just want to keep like a core of this color. Like this should be your like the main thing. And then you can go very dark, and you want to keep a little bit of the actual white into it. That's really like the main trick. It's so stupid, but the main trick about painting white is not to use too much white. And then the second trick is also picking colors that are not stinkers right off the bat, and that will make like a big difference. So play with a couple of colors. If you're not a big Games Workshop person, like I understand, these are available in other brands. So try off-whites in other brands until you find one that doesn't suck, or give Games Workshop a chance and maybe put them in other bottles if you really must. But I found that like using colors that work well is the kind of the go-to. As it's not as frustrating, and it's easier to play with, because you're not like fighting to get like a base coat of any color, right? Which saps your, like, I hate doing white because the base coat leading up to white takes me 6 tries and it's all chunky and whatever. Like one pass, get out of there. You know what I mean? That was kind of my trick about white. I hope this helps you. And if you have more questions, do not hesitate to post them in comments somewhere or send me a message. That's how we do these videos. So until next time, no excuses. Hobby, like, champions. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed and found this useful, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to talk about. I make all of these videos based on the questions from you guys.